Hey everyone! Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more exciting content. Imagine a decorated war hero, silver-haired and stoic, walking up to a military base gate with nothing but a worn duffel and a lifetime of scars, only to have a young sergeant point at him and bark, "You don't belong here, old man." One whispered code phrase later, the entire checkpoint freezes, rifles lower, and every soul on that tarmac realizes they just insulted a living legend. If you love your mom and dad, the ones who taught you respect is earned in fire, smash that subscribe button and show some love to the channel that keeps their stories alive. The sun hung low over Naval Station Norfolk, bleeding orange across the flight line as retired Master Chief Elijah "Iron" Jackson stepped off the Greyhound with the same deliberate stride he'd used marching into Fallujah 20 years earlier. The duffel on his shoulder carried 2 changes of clothes, a folded flag in a triangular case, and the weight of 4 bronze stars he never bragged about. At 68, the limp from an IED shard in his hip was the only thing that betrayed the miles. Otherwise, the man looked carved from the same oak as the ship masts he once climbed. He wore a faded Philly Eagles cap pulled low, a thrift store field jacket with elbows shiny from wear, and boots so scuffed the leather had forgotten its original color. To the untrained eye, he was just another civilian drifting toward Gate 3 on a Friday evening when the base was swapping shifts. Sergeant First Class Ryan Whitaker stood inside the guard shack, crisp in his tan uniform, sleeves rolled with precision, the kind of posture they drill into you at Benning until your spine forgets how to slouch. 26 years old, 2 tours in Syria under his belt, and already convinced he'd seen every kind of trouble the world could throw at a checkpoint. When Elijah approached, Ryan's eyes flicked to the duffel, the limp, the absence of any visible ID, and his brain filed the old man under possible gatecrasher. Protocol said challenge anyone without appointment. Pride said do it loud enough for the new privates to hear. "Hold it right there, sir," Ryan called, stepping out with one hand resting on his holstered M18. "This is a restricted facility. State your business." Elijah stopped 10 feet short of the yellow line painted across the asphalt. He'd stared down worse than a baby-faced gate guard in his time, but tonight he was tired, bone-tired, the kind that came from a 12-hour bus ride and the memory of burying his wife 6 months earlier. Still, old habits held. He kept his hands visible, voice steady. "Master Chief Elijah Jackson, retired. Here to see Admiral Halsey before he rotates out." Ryan smirked without meaning to. The name didn't ring any bells, and the Admiral's calendar was tighter than a drum. "Got orders? CAC card? Anything that says you belong on my base?" Elijah reached slow into his jacket. Ryan's fingers tightened. The privates behind him, 4 of them, fresh from AIT, still smelling of Fort Jackson pine needles, shifted their weight. Elijah produced a worn leather wallet, flipped it open to a retired ID so sun-bleached the photo looked like a ghost. "This do?" Ryan barely glanced. "Looks like it's been through a shredder." "Step back behind the line, sir. We'll call it in." The Master Chief's jaw flexed. He'd been called sir by generals, had tea with senators, had his photo taken shaking hands with 2 presidents, but tonight he was just an old black man in dirty clothes to this kid who'd never seen real fire. Elijah's voice dropped to the register that once froze an entire platoon mid-march. "Son, you ever heard of Iron Shade?" The words hung between them like incoming mortar rounds. Ryan blinked. The privates froze. Even the gulls overhead seemed to hush. Somewhere in the guard shack, a radio crackled and went silent. Ryan recovered first, but his swagger had slipped a notch. "That some kind of code? Threat?" Elijah's eyes, the color of storm clouds over the Persian Gulf, never left the sergeant's. "It's a promise I made to my country. And right now, you're standing between me and it." Ryan keyed his mic. "Shack, this is Gate 3. Need a priority lookup on Iron Shade. Possible legacy protocol." The speaker crackled, then a female voice, calm but urgent, "Stand by. Running it through Twix." 10 seconds felt like 10 years. Elijah shifted the duffel, the canvas rasped against his shoulder. A memory flashed, Kandahar, 2009, the night his SEAL platoon extracted a downed pilot under fire so heavy the sky looked like the 4th of July gone wrong. They'd radioed Iron Shade to hire, and within minutes every asset from Apache gunships to a pissed-off AC-130 had rained hell to clear their path. The phrase wasn't just a code, it was a blank check signed in blood. The shack phone rang. Ryan snatched it. Gate 3. Yes, Master Guns. No, I understood. He hung up, face drained of color. The privates looked like statues. Ryan snapped to attention so hard his cover nearly flew off. Master Chief Jackson, sir. The Admiral's compliments and he's sending a vehicle. My apologies, I. Save it, Sergeant. Elijah's tone could have cut steel. You judged the book by its cover. Happens. Just don't let it happen when the next one's carrying a backpack full of C4. A black Suburban screamed up, hazard lights flashing. The driver, a lieutenant with eyes wide as hubcaps, leapt out and opened the rear door. Sir, the CO's ready. We've got the wardroom standing by. Elijah climbed in without another word. As the SUV rolled past the gate, Ryan caught sight of the Admiral himself waiting on the steps of base ops, dress whites gleaming under the floodlights. The sergeant swallowed hard enough to taste copper. Inside the wardroom 20 minutes later, the air smelled of fresh coffee and lemon polish. Admiral David Halsey, a man whose own chest looked like a fruit salad of ribbons, came around the table and wrapped Elijah in a bear hug that cracked vertebrae. Iron, you bastard, you could have called. Figured I'd see if the new generation still saluted the flag instead of their ego, Elijah said, easing into a chair. Officers and senior enlisted filled the room, some he'd mentored, some who'd only heard whispers. A projector hummed to life, and the screen filled with a grainy photo, younger Elijah, face painted, M4 raised, leading a fire team through a breach in Ramadi. The caption read Operation Iron Shade, classified. Halsey poured 2 fingers of Macallan into a crystal glass and slid it across. Gentlemen, ladies, for those who don't know, Master Chief Jackson wrote the book on small unit tactics in urban hell. For times he went into the worst zip codes on Earth and brought every man home. The phrase, Iron Shade, isn't just a call sign, it's a national asset. When he says it, satellites move. A young lieutenant commander raised a tentative hand. Sir, why is it classified above top secret? Elijah sipped the scotch, let it burn. Because sometimes the mission needs a ghost. And ghosts don't fill out paperwork. The room laughed, tension breaking like a wave. But Elijah wasn't done. He set the glass down with deliberate care. Tonight wasn't about me. It was about the kid at the gate who saw an old black man in raggedy clothes and decided I didn't rate. That's a crack in the foundation. Fix it before the whole house falls. Halsey nodded. Already on it. Sergeant Whitaker's writing a 10-page essay on first impressions, due at 0600. And he's buying you breakfast. Elijah allowed half a smile. Make it Waffle House. I miss pecan waffles. But the night wasn't over. As the gathering broke into smaller knots of story swapping, Elijah's phone buzzed, an unknown number with a DC area code. He stepped onto the balcony overlooking the piers where destroyers slept like steel leviathans. Jackson. Master Chief, came a voice smooth as oil, this is Director Coates, CIA. We need Iron Shade. Off the books. Tonight. Elijah's pulse quickened the way it hadn't since his last firefight. I'm retired. Retired men don't walk into Norfolk and freeze a checkpoint with 2 words. There's a package on Pier 7, Container 14 Bravo. It's tagged for a rogue cell planning something ugly on the Capitol next week. We need someone they won't see coming. Elijah glanced back through the glass. Halsey was laughing at some ensign's joke, oblivious. You want me to sneak onto my own base? We want the ghost. Gears in the trunk of the Suburban. Drivers read in. Elijah closed his eyes. The limp throbbed. The scotch still warmed his chest. He thought of his wife, Marlene, who'd begged him to hang up the rifle after the last tour. Thought of the flag folded in his duffel, waiting for a grave that wasn't his yet. One condition, he said. Nobody dies unless they force my hand. Copy that. He hung up, slipped back inside, and caught Halsey's eye. A subtle nod passed between them, old warriors speaking without words. Elijah excused himself, claiming jet lag. The Admiral didn't buy it but didn't ask. Down in the parking lot, the lieutenant popped the trunk. Inside, black tactical pants, a plate carrier that fit like it had never left his closet, a suppressed 18 Malawian kwachas, and a bald cap with no insignia. Elijah changed in the shadow of the SUV, every movement practiced, economical. The limp vanished under adrenaline's alchemy. Pier 7 smelled of diesel and salt. Floodlights cast long shadows between Konex boxes stacked like children's blocks. Container 14 Bravo sat third row in, door sealed with a diplomatic lock. Elijah ghosted along the catwalk, earpiece fed by a drone overhead feeding him thermal blooms. 2 guards, AKs slung lazy, smoking cigarettes that glowed like fireflies. He dropped between them silent as falling ash. Pressure points, zip ties, gags, textbook. Inside the container, crates stamped with Cyrillic markings. He pried one open, disassembled drone parts, enough explosive precursor to level a city block. Tucked beneath was a laptop blinking red. Elijah jacked in a thumb drive, the screen filled with schematics of the Capitol tunnels. Footsteps, more guards, heavier boots. Voices in Arabic, tense. Elijah melted into the darkness behind a pallet. The newcomers argued, one gesturing at a manifest. Elijah caught the word, betrayal. His blood chilled. Someone inside had sold the op. A phone rang. One guard answered, listened, then snarled an order. They began moving crates toward a waiting panel van. Time compressed. Elijah keyed his mic, package confirmed. Extract in progress. Possible mole. Copy, Coates whispered. Exfil hello inbound, 5 mics. But 5 minutes was a lifetime when trust was broken. Elijah slipped out, ghosted to the van, and slapped a tracker under the wheel well. Then he saw him, Sergeant Ryan Whitaker, out of uniform, face pale under the floods, handing a wad of cash to the lead guard. The kid from the gate. Ryan's eyes widened when Elijah stepped into the light. Master Chief, I. Start talking, son. Fast. Ryan's hands shook. They grabbed my sister in Richmond. Said if I didn't open the gate tonight, she'd, his voice cracked. I didn't know it was you. I swear. Elijah saw the terror, raw and real. Choices crystallized. He could end Ryan here, cauterize the leak. Or he could salvage a soul. Where's your sister? Warehouse off Jefferson. They gave me coordinates. Elijah keyed the mic again. Director, we've got a hostage. Redirecting hello. Coates hesitated half a heartbeat. Negative. Primary mission. New primary, American citizen. Move. The line went dead, then clicked back. Hello rerouted. ETA 8 mics. Elijah grabbed Ryan by the collar. You're driving. We get your sister, then we finish this. The van peeled out, Ryan behind the wheel, Elijah riding shotgun with the 18 Malawian kwachas across his lap. Norfolk's lights blurred past. Ryan's knuckles were white. How'd you know I wasn't dirty? Because dirty doesn't shake like that when it's caught, Elijah said. Hold it together. We're ghosts tonight. The warehouse squatted under a sagging moon, chain-link fence half collapsed. Thermal showed 4 heat signatures inside, one small, bound. Ryan's sister. Elijah circled wide, Ryan on his 6 now, moving like the kid had remembered some of his training after all. Breach was textbook, flashbang through the skylight, Elijah dropping in like a hammer. 2 tangos down before they cleared leather. The third lunged for the girl, Ryan's round took him center mass. The fourth bolted, Elijah's knife ended the chase. Sister freed, tears and snot and gratitude. The hello thundered in, skids kissing asphalt. As they lifted, Elijah looked down at the burning warehouse, secondary explosion from the van's cargo. Ryan clutched his sister, face streaked with soot and redemption. Back at Norfolk, dawn painted the flight line gold. Admiral Halsey met the bird, eyebrows raised at the extra passengers. Coates's voice crackled over SATCOM, capital secure. Cell neutralized. You just saved the Republic, Master Chief. Elijah helped the girl down, then turned to Ryan. Sergeant, your essay's now 15 pages. And you're buying waffles for the whole wardroom. Ryan managed a watery grin. Yes, Master Chief. Later, over stacks of pecan waffles drowning in syrup, Elijah watched the kid recount the night to wide-eyed ensigns, voice gaining strength with every sentence. The limp was back, the ache deeper than bone, but something else burned brighter. Purpose. Halsey slid into the booth opposite. Retirement not suiting you? Elijah speared a bite. Ghosts don't retire, Admiral. They just wait for the right shadow. Outside, the flag snapped in the morning breeze, and somewhere a new generation learned that legends don't always wear shiny medals, they sometimes limp through gates in ragged jackets, carrying the weight of a nation on shoulders that refuse to bow. Tell me in the comments, from what part of this great country are you watching this story? Drop your city, your state, and let's put pins in the map of American pride.